Are you a notary ready to move beyond the basics? Don't get caught unprepared with legal risks and client pitfalls. You need a blueprint for success. Introducing Notary Knowledge Reference Guide and Notary Bible. This is your essential playbook. Learn to master your duties, build a thriving mobile business, and protect yourself from costly mistakes with expert advice. Find Notary Knowledge Reference Guide and Notary Bible by Derek Spruill from Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Books of Million, Bookshop.org, Mobile Notary by DerekSpruill.com, or download from Kindle today.
Welcome to Notary Knowledge. So, picture this. It is the year 2046.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right. And you are standing in this, sleek, brightly lit courtroom. And there's this $500,000 property dispute that is hinging entirely on a single piece of paper.
Well, wow. Just one.
Yeah, just one deed of trust that was executed like 2 decades earlier. And the judge zooms in on the digital scan of this document, right? And right there in the notarial block, the number 7 in the date is just slightly smudged.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a 1 or maybe a 9. And because of that single drop of stray ink, the whole legal timeline of the transfer is just thrown into chaos.
Right, which means the title insurance company denies the claim.
Exactly. They deny it, and a family literally loses their home. All because of, a momentary lapse in concentration at some dining room table 20 years prior.
I mean, it is a chilling scenario, but it perfectly illustrates the sheer weight of what actually happens at the closing table.
Right. It's not just paperwork.
No, not at all. That piece of paper is, it's a time capsule. It has to be this absolutely flawless, self-contained piece of legal evidence.
Because it has to defend itself decades after the people who signed it are gone.
Exactly. And, that demand for absolute perfection, that is exactly what's driving the most massive, fundamental shift we have ever seen in the closing industry.
It's insane. But before we step into the mechanics of that shift, I want to make sure you are fully equipped for this journey.
Yes, definitely.
Because if you've been enjoying these, high-level experience perspectives on the industry, you absolutely need to check out our video companion. It's called Notary with Eddie Montes Travis.
And you should also check out Marylyn's 90 Seconds of Notary.
Yeah, they are fantastic visual resources that really build on the concepts we explore here.
And if you are truly serious about treating your commission like the professional, rigorous business it actually is, I highly encourage you to pick up the Notary Knowledge books by Derek Spruill.
Oh, absolutely. Essential reading.
You can find them by visiting the Notary Knowledge website. And, while you're there, please take a moment to rate the show, subscribe, and share this audio journey with others in the industry.
Yeah, please do. Your support is basically the engine that allows us to keep bringing you these critical insights.
It really is.
So if you've been following our prior discussions, we've been tracking the rapid evolution of this profession.
Mm-hmm. The industry is moving incredibly fast.
It is. We are operating inside a highly complex financial and legal machinery. And today, our mission is to explore the absolute bleeding edge of that machinery.
That bleeding edge, I like that.
Yeah. We are looking at this massive technological shift toward what the industry is calling AI-assisted quality control.
Right, the aggressive pursuit of the zero-error package in mortgage lending.
Exactly. We're going to examine this macro-level technological wall of artificial intelligence that is completely reshaping how closing documents are reviewed.
And then we're going to zoom all the way down to the ground level, right?
Yep, down to the actual table. We'll look at the common human mistakes these systems are catching and, how you can avoid them.
Well, to really appreciate the magnitude of this AI wall, we first have to understand the flawed system it's replacing.
Oh, the old way of doing things.
Yeah. For decades, the mortgage, automotive, and lending industries, they all operated on a model of retrospective quality control.
Retrospective. So looking back after the fact.
Exactly. Think about what that actually meant in practice. A massive package of documents, sometimes 200 pages long, was signed at a table, stuffed into a courier envelope, and physically shipped across the country.
Right. It basically just went into a black hole.
Pretty much.
Like the document tracking platform at the title company would just, register a tracking number. It was just a passive repository.
Right. The system knew a physical object was in transit, but it was completely blind to the legal completeness of the paper inside that envelope.
It had no idea if the papers were even signed.
Precisely. The system was entirely agnostic to the quality of the work. So when that package finally arrived at the post-closing department days later, it was just thrown onto a mountain of other packages.
Just a giant pile of paper.
Yeah. And eventually, a human being would sit in a room and perform what the industry calls stare and compare work.
Stare and compare. That sounds mind-numbing.
It is. They would manually flip through thousands of pages a day, just desperately trying to ensure every single signature line was signed, every initial was present, and every notary seal was legible.
And human beings, I mean, no matter how diligent you are, you suffer from eye fatigue.
Absolutely. You look at the same deed of trust 50 times in one shift, your brain starts filling in blanks that aren't actually there.
Right. So a package missing a borrower's initial on, say, page 14, or featuring a notary seal that is just too faint to read, it would slip right through the cracks.
It would. It would sit completely undetected in a vault for months.
Wow. And that is the definition of retrospective QC, right?
Exactly. Finding the critical mistake long after the window to easily fix it has completely closed. It's like finding out you forgot your parachute after you've jumped out of the plane.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
In the mortgage world, these defects were usually only uncovered when the loan was being bundled and sold on the secondary market. To entities like Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac.
Right, or during some random internal compliance audit.
Yeah. And even worse, sometimes the defect wasn't discovered until years later during foreclosure proceedings.
Oh, man. When the bank's attorneys realize they don't actually have a legally enforceable document.
Exactly. And by the time the error is found, I mean, think about it. The notary might have retired.
Or moved away.
Right. The borrower might have moved to another country, or the title company might have gone out of business.
So the institution is suddenly forced to absorb these severe financial penalties.
Huge penalties. They have to restart legal processes or initiate incredibly expensive trailing document chases.
Like hiring private investigators just to track down the parties to sign a single correction affidavit.
Yes, the financial bleeding caused by this retrospective model is just staggering. And that brings us to the technological revolution happening right now.
Okay, so lenders are just entirely abandoning the retrospective model then.
Completely. They are moving to point of signing or table-side verification.
Table state. So while everyone is still sitting there.
Exactly. And the heavy hitters entering this space are deploying incredibly sophisticated AI models. We are talking about platforms like SnapDocs with their funding QC and post-close QC products.
Right, and I've heard of Ariel with their Copilot agent.
Yes, Ariel's huge. And there's True AI, inferred with Mortgage Check AI, Identify, and Google Cloud Document AI.
Let's talk about the scale of these systems, because I feel like it is difficult to conceptualize until you look at the raw numbers.
Oh, the numbers are wild. Ariel AI, for instance, recently noted that their platform has completed 4 million tasks on production loans.
Wait, 4 million? And a task in this context isn't just like a computer pinging a server, right?
No. A task is a complete, multi-layered verification journey. The AI is executing data extraction, classifying the document type, and validating critical fields with a sustained 99% accuracy rate.
99%. That's incredible.
It is. But we really need to break down the underlying economics to understand why a lender would invest millions of dollars into integrating these AI agents.
Right, because it always comes down to the money.
Always. It all comes down to the math of defects. In a purely manual workflow, errors are shockingly prevalent. Industry data shows that errors occur on up to 70% of manual closing packages.
Wait, I need to stop right there. 70%.
Yes.
That sounds catastrophically high. Are you saying that 7 out of 10 loans are just fundamentally invalid?
Well, it's a vital distinction to make. It does not mean 70% of loans are entirely fraudulent or legally void at their core.
Okay, good.
But it means 70% of the packages contain at least one technical defect that stops the funding or recording process.
Ah, I see. So what kind of defects are we talking about?
It could be a single skipped initial on a closing disclosure, or maybe a date written as the 5th instead of the 6th.
Or like a middle initial missing from a signature line.
Exactly. Or a notary stamp that just slightly overlaps some text. Any single one of those triggers a defect workflow.
Okay, but what does that defect workflow actually cost? Because if I, as a notary, miss an initial, it feels like a small thing. I just drive back to the borrower's house the next day and have them sign it.
Right. From your perspective, it costs you gas money and an hour of your time.
Yeah.
But from the lender's perspective, the average operational cost to cure a single defect is roughly $160 per occurrence.
$160. Just for one missed initial.
Yes. That figure factors in the physical courier fees to ship corrected documents overnight. It includes the administrative labor of the staff tracking the error.
Oh, right. People have to get paid to figure out what went wrong.
Exactly. Plus, potential re-recording costs for the county clerk and the sheer delay in releasing the funds.
Okay, let's run that math because that is wild. If the operational cost to cure is $160 and the manual error rate is 70%, that means the expected cost of defects on every single manual loan file is $112.
You've got it. The lender is essentially burning $112 on every single loan they originate, purely because of human error.
Wow. That is a massive margin drain.
It's huge. But watch what happens when you introduce point-of-signing AI.
Okay.
If a system like SnapDoc's Funding QC or Aerial Copilot is acting as a gatekeeper, and it has a 99% accuracy rate in catching these errors before the funding is released.
The equation completely flips.
Yes, that 70% baseline error rate is now filtered through an engine that neutralizes 99% of those mistakes instantly.
So the math becomes $112 multiplied by the 1% of errors that might somehow slip past the AI.
Exactly.
That brings the expected post-AI defect cost down to just $1.12 per loan.
Isn't that amazing? The lender just created a net operational savings of roughly $110.88 per file.
And when you are a national lender originating, say, 10,000 loans a month, recovering $110 per file adds over $1 million straight back to the bottom line.
Every single month.
Every single month. That is unbelievable.
And that doesn't even factor in the time savings. These AI engines are recovering 2 to 4 hours of back office staff time per mortgage.
Okay, but this brings up a huge question. If these systems are capable of reading a 200-page file, extracting the data, and making funding decisions in 2 minutes, aren't we looking at a catastrophic loss of jobs?
That's the immediate fear, right?
Yeah. Like, is the AI replacing the human underwriter or the post-closer or even the notary?
It's honestly the most common anxiety surrounding this technology, but the reality on the ground is fundamentally different.
How so?
Well, the AI is not replacing the critical judgment of the underwriter, nor is it replacing the legal statutory authority of the commissioned notary public.
Right, a computer can't be a state commissioned officer.
Exactly. What the AI is doing is eliminating the mechanical administrative grunt work. It's taking incredibly messy, unstructured PDFs. Pages scanned upside down, pages with coffee stains, pages slightly skewed.
Yeah, the real world mess.
Right. And it's turning them into clean, structured, verified data.
I see. So it isn't making the decision to approve the loan. It's just organizing the puzzle pieces so the human can see the whole picture instantly.
Perfectly said. If you are a back office funder, your job requires sharp analytical skills to ensure the loan meets complex investor guidelines.
Right.
But historically, 80% of your day was wasted just physically turning pages to see if John Doe signed his name 18 times.
Just mindless page turning.
Yeah. And the AI does that page turning in seconds. This paradigm shift means human workers are no longer doing more work. They're doing different work.
They're elevated to handling the actual complex exception.
Exactly. Nuanced judgment calls and highly specific investor edge cases that require true human intellect.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So if this AI is acting as an eagle-eyed bouncer at the digital door, what exactly is it interrogating? What are the specific workflows it handles without human intervention?
There are 3 primary workflows where this technology is currently deployed. The first is borrower onboarding.
Onboarding, okay.
Imagine a borrower portal receiving a massive dump of raw documents from a loan officer.
Just a giant PDF file of everything.
Exactly. An AI agent intercepts that bundle and instantly classifies every single page across more than 1,500 different document types.
1,500. So it knows the difference between a W-2, a bank statement, an appraisal, and a title commitment.
Yes. Instantly.
That alone is incredible. It splits the bundled PDFs, detects and removes duplicate pages, and extracts the key data points to auto-populate the loan origination system, or the LOS.
Right, so the human processor opens the file and sees a perfectly indexed, validated package instead of a chaotic 500-page digital mess.
That must save so much time.
That onboarding classification saves about 1 to 3 hours per loan. Just right there.
Wow. Okay, what's the second workflow?
The second one, and the one most relevant to the closing table, is the funding review. This is where the AI truly flexes its muscles.
Okay, lay it on me.
The agent reads the entire executed closing package the very moment it is scanned back by the notary.
While the notary is still at the table.
Exactly. It validates the presence of signatures, It interrogates the notary stamps to ensure they are legible and complete,
Mm-hmm.
and it cross-references the loan amounts written on the physical closing documents against the digital data stored in the LOS to ensure perfect parity.
So if the LOS says the loan is for $450,000 and the printed note says $450,000, it clears it.
Right. But if there was a last-minute change and the note says $440,000, the AI halts the funding.
And that instantly cuts the manual funding review time down by what, 20 to 40 minutes per file?
Exactly. It just hands the human funder a tiny flagged list of discrepancies. They don't have to look at the other 198 perfect pages.
That is so efficient. And the third workflow.
Finally, you have the post-closing review workflow. Traditionally, post-closing teams review 400 to 600 pages per loan to ensure they meet highly specific, rigorous investor checklists.
Right, like the requirements for Freddie Mac.
Yes, and Freddie Mac, for instance, maintains a historical defect baseline of about 9.6%.
Wait, almost 10%? That means almost 1 in 10 loans historically failed to meet their exact purchasing criteria because of some missed requirement?
Exactly, a tiny error.
But why was the historical rate so high? Weren't humans checking these before selling them to Freddie Mac?
They were, but because manual review is so incredibly slow and expensive, lenders relied heavily on random sampling.
Ah, so they weren't checking every single file.
No. A post-closing manager might audit 10% of the outgoing files in a given month and simply hope that the other 90% were executed with the same level of care.
It was basically a statistical gamble.
Exactly. But the AI doesn't need to sleep, and it doesn't charge an hourly wage, so it doesn't sample.
It checks 100% of the loans against the investor checklist.
Every single page of every single file is validated, so the defect rate plummets to near zero.
And that saves another 40 to 80 minutes per loan in the post-close phase.
Right.
Okay, I understand the workflow. Let's take a quick pause here to let all that sink in. Commercial break. Pause. All right, we're back. And I understand the workflow we were just talking about, but I am deeply fascinated by the actual computer science happening here.
It is really cool stuff.
It is. When you say it validates signatures, how does a machine actually read human handwriting?
That is the big question.
Because, my signature is a chaotic loop of ink that barely looks like letters. How does an AI know that my chaotic scribble is a legally binding signature and not just a stray pen mark or a printing error?
It is a brilliant question, and it really speaks to why this technology has only become viable in the last few years.
Right. This wasn't possible 10 years ago.
Exactly. The AI does not rely on a single rudimentary trick. It utilizes a layered, hybrid approach of machine learning models.
Oh, layered how?
The foundational layer is computer vision. The AI isn't just reading the document. It is looking at the spatial and visual architecture of the page.
The architecture.
Yeah, it understands what a signature line looks like geometrically.
Like recognizing the physical shape of a blank line with text underneath it.
Yes. It identifies the structural context. Then it layers on natural language processing, or NLP, to read and contextualize the printed text surrounding that visual area.
So it reads the words borrower's signature and basically creates a geographic zone on the document where it expects an action to occur.
Precisely. But the real magic happens with large language models like LeMI-Index, working in concert with highly specialized visual models.
Like what kind of visual models?
Well, there are models such as Base64's signature detection algorithms.
Okay, how does Base64 handle the chaos of human handwriting? Because again, my signature is a mess.
Base64 and similar models are trained on millions of variations of human signatures. They don't look for specific letters.
They don't?
No. They look for biometric patterns of ink distribution, velocity curves, and stroke density.
Whoa. Velocity curves.
Yeah. They draw invisible bounding boxes around the ink. The system can determine with extreme mathematical confidence if a signature is present within that bounding box.
Regardless of whether the signature is tiny or massive or slanted.
Exactly. Or even if it's bleeding into the text below it. The system then extracts a clipped image of that specific signature and registers its exact X and Y coordinates on the page.
That is wild. So it isolates the ink, proves it is a signature, and logs exactly where it lives on the document.
Yes.
But what about the dates? Can it actually read the numbers I scribble next to my signature?
Absolutely. The AI conducts what are called integrity checks.
Okay, how does that work?
It deploys a handwritten date review protocol. It uses optical character recognition, which is optimized specifically for unstructured handwriting, to decipher your numbers.
So it can read my terrible handwriting for the date.
Yep. It then takes that handwritten date, say May 12th, and cross-references it against multiple data points.
Like what?
It checks the expected signing date in the digital ledger. It checks the effective date printed in the body of the legal document.
Oh, wow.
It even checks the state database to ensure your specific notary commission was actively valid on that specific date.
So if the document's effective date is December 3rd, but I handwrite May 12th next to my signature, the AI understands the chronological mismatch.
It does, and it actively analyzes whether that constitutes a legal error based on the specific document type.
That is a level of instantaneous legal analysis that a human reviewer would really struggle to perform consistently across 500 pages.
It is. It creates a virtually impenetrable net. The days of a minor structural error slipping through the cracks and resting quietly in a filing cabinet for a decade are officially over.
Because the AI catches it in 120 seconds.
Exactly.
And, since the AI is catching everything, it exposes exactly where human beings are failing the most.
It really is an unforgiving mirror reflecting our most common bad habits at the closing table.
Which is a perfect pivot. Let's move from the macro level technology down to the ground level.
The human element.
Exactly. We are the ones sitting across from the borrowers. So if the AI is flagging files left and right, what are the specific, entirely avoidable mistakes that are triggering these multi-million-dollar systems?
Well, for the clearest picture of where humans go wrong, we can look directly at the guidance from the National Notary Association.
They track all this, right?
Yep, they do. They track the most prevalent certificate errors. And the very first mistake on their list is shockingly simple, yet it causes an administrative nightmare.
What is it?
Wording.
Just wording. Mistake number 1 is notaries failing to carefully read the notarial certificate.
Yes, and mindlessly writing their own name in the blank space that was intended for the signer's name.
Okay, that sounds like an amateur mistake, right? Something you would only do on your very first day.
You would think so, but it actually happens constantly to veterans.
Really? Why?
Because of the intense cognitive load at the closing table. I mean, think about it. You are managing 150 pages of complex legal documents.
Right.
You are managing the borrower's anxiety. You are making small talk to keep the atmosphere pleasant. Your brain just slips into autopilot.
So you see a blank line embedded in a paragraph of dense legal text, and muscle memory simply takes over.
Exactly. You write your own name because you are so used to signing things all day.
I can completely see how that happens, but how does the AI react to it?
The AI reacts by instantly halting the file. Let's say a standard acknowledgement certificate reads, "On this day, personally appeared before me, blank space."
Okay.
The AI's natural language processing reads the syntax of that sentence. It knows the blank space requires the name of the principal signer.
Right.
If the AI reads, "Personally appeared before me, John Doe Notary," the logic of the sentence breaks.
Because a notary cannot personally appear before themselves to have their own signature notarized.
Exactly. It's a logical paradox. The algorithm registers that, flags the document as fatally defective, and kicks it to a manual human reviewer.
Boom, error caught. Which brings us to mistake number 2, venue.
Yes, venue's a big one.
The venue is that block of text at the top of the certificate that says State of X, County of Y. And the NNA stresses that the venue strictly refers to the physical location where the notarization is taking place at that exact moment in time.
Yes, venue is a concept of physical reality, not origin.
Right, and this is a massive source of AI flags, isn't it? Because closing documents are frequently generated by out-of-state lenders or title companies.
Exactly. A lender based in Los Angeles might pre-print the venue on all their documents as State of California, County of Los Angeles.
But if I am a notary signing agent sitting in a coffee shop in Maricopa County, Arizona, executing those documents, the physical reality is Arizona.
Yes. And if you just ignore the pre-printed Los Angeles venue and leave it as is, you are legally certifying that you are standing in California.
Which is a lie.
It is, and you must aggressively correct it. You have to draw a single line through the incorrect pre-printed venue and handwrite the actual state and county where your feet are planted.
And if you fail to do this, the AI catches it effortlessly.
Effortlessly. The AI cross-references the geographic tracking data of the assignment, the IP address of the scanner you used to upload the documents, and the state listed on your notary seal.
So if your seal says Arizona, but the venue text reads California, the AI spots the jurisdictional impossibility and rejects the document.
Exactly. It knows you can't be in two places at once.
That makes perfect sense. Mistake number 3, however, is where I think the friction between human habit and machine logic is most intense.
Commission names.
Yes. The NNA explicitly warns that the name you write, print, and sign on a notary certificate must exactly, character for character, match the name printed on your official notary commission from the state.
And this is perhaps the largest trigger for automated rejections today.
Because human beings are incredibly fluid with their identities.
Yeah.
We use nicknames, we drop middle initials, we abbreviate.
We do, but state laws are rigid. Florida law, for example, explicitly prohibits notaries from using any name or initial other than the exact name appearing on their commission.
Texas law mandates the exact same thing.
Right.
But let me push back on the strictness of this because it feels like technology enforcing an unnatural rigidity.
Okay, play devil's advocate.
Suppose my legal name, the name I put on my notary application, is Edward James Smith. The state issues my official seal, and it clearly reads Edward James Smith. But I have never gone by James. In my daily life, signing checks, signing receipts, I just sign Edward Smith.
Right.
If I sign the notarial certificate as Edward Smith, why does it matter? It is still my physical signature. It is still me. Why is the AI rejecting my file over a missing middle name?
Well, it rejects it because the AI does not know you, and it does not care about your daily habits.
Fair point.
It cares exclusively about the legal chain of identity.
Yeah.
In an automated ecosystem, AI engines like True AI are not looking at your handwriting and saying, well, the strokes look similar, so it's probably the same guy.
Right, it doesn't have common sense.
No. They are executing exact mathematical string matches.
So how does a string match actually work in this context?
The AI uses highly sensitive optical character recognition to read the text inside the border of your physical rubber seal.
Okay.
It extracts the string of characters, EDWARD, space, JAMES, space, SMITH.
It has the exact string.
Yes. It immediately queries the Secretary of State's digital commissioning database using that exact string to verify you are active.
Right.
It then uses its handwriting recognition models to read your printed name or signature below the certificate. If your signature drops the James, the AI extracts the string EDWARD, space, SMITH. To the machine, Edward James Smith and Edward Smith are two entirely different entities.
It assumes a secondary, unauthorized person attempted to sign on behalf of the commissioned notary.
Exactly. It registers a critical discrepancy and halts the funding process. The rule for surviving an AI review is absolute. Whatever exact string of letters is printed on your official commission certificate, you must replicate that exact string of letters every single time pen touches paper.
No exceptions. Okay, moving on to mistake number 4, which is dating.
This is another critical one.
Yeah, the NNA notes that improperly dating a certificate, and specifically the act of postdating, is a severe error. The date you enter on your notarial certificate must be the exact calendar day the signer physically appeared before you.
And this often confuses newer notaries because the legal document itself might be governed by a completely different timeline.
What do you mean?
Imagine a commercial lease agreement. The text of the lease might explicitly state, this lease is effective as of December 3rd.
Okay.
However, the parties are sitting across from you, signing the paperwork on May 12th.
So a human instinct might be to make all the dates match so the paperwork looks uniform, so they just write December 3rd in their notary block.
Exactly, which is legally catastrophic.
Because it's not true.
Right. Your notarial block is not a continuation of the contract. It is an independent, sworn testament to historical reality. And the historical reality is that the person appeared before you, identified themselves, and signed the paper on May 12th.
So if you write December 3rd, you are basically committing a form of fraud by backdating.
Yes, you are. And the AI funding QC systems have specialized handwritten date reviewers trained exclusively to police this.
How do they catch it?
They analyze the date in your DROT, compare it to the system's chronological log of when the documents were generated and uploaded, and if it detects a temporal anomaly, like backdating or postdating, it just kills the file.
Wow. Okay, there's also a severe warning about mistake number 7, expiration dates.
Oh, this one makes me cringe.
Right. We all know that notary commissions expire. Sometimes a notary realizes their stamp has an expired date. Maybe they successfully renewed their commission with the state, but the physical factory hasn't mailed them their new rubber stamp yet.
It happens?
They have an appointment, they are desperate, so they take a black pen, cross out the old year on their stamp impression, and handwrite the new expiration year next to it.
And that is an automatic, non-negotiable rejection.
You can never manually alter the impression of a seal.
Never. The AI's computer vision is specifically trained to analyze the interior space. the bounding box of a notary seal.
So if it sees pen marks in there,
If it detects a pen stroke crossing through the standardized text fields of the seal, it assumes the seal has been maliciously tampered with. It invalidates the entire page immediately.
that makes total sense. Now, the NNA also highlights a bonus mistake regarding titles.
Yes, titles.
In California, for example, the state legally mandates that notaries must include their titles, specifically the words notary public, after printing their name on an acknowledgement form.
And while that is a statutory requirement specific to California, the concept really applies nationally.
Right. You will frequently encounter generic, widely circulated documents that feature a blank line under your signature with the words title of officer printed below it.
And if the line is there, you fill it in.
Don't leave it blank.
Exactly. If you leave it blank, the AI categorizes it as an incomplete field. Leaving a blank line in a legal certificate is like leaving the front door of a house wide open.
It just invites scrutiny, audits, and automated flags regarding the completeness of the document. This intense focus on the physical impression of the stamp leads us to an incredibly important technical discussion, because nothing triggers a manual review or a county clerk rejection faster than a defective seal.
No, nothing does.
So let's examine the anatomy of a perfect stamp and, critically, how to legally fix a bad one. Commercial break pause. All right, welcome back. We were just about to dive into the physical stamp itself.
Yes, the anatomy of the perfect stamp. To understand the sheer rigidity of seal requirements, we really should look at Massachusetts as a prime historical and legal case study.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, they operate under Executive Order 455 and Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 222.
And these are not mere guidelines, right? They are strict statutory mandates that dictate the molecular makeup of a notary stamp.
Exactly. In Massachusetts, there are exactly 5 required elements that must be present on the seal.
Okay, let's list them. Number 1, the notary's name, exactly as commissioned.
Right. Number 2, the exact words, Notary Public.
Number 3, the words Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Number 4, the commission expiration date.
And number 5, the commission number assigned by the Secretary of the Commonwealth.
If even a single one of those elements is missing, obscured, or illegible, the stamp is legally deficient and the entire notarization is void.
Wow.
But what is truly fascinating here is the collision between historical physical media and modern digital AI.
Okay, how so?
Well, Massachusetts, like several other states, still legally authorizes the use of the traditional embossed metal seal.
Ah, the embosser. The heavy, crimping device that physically crushes the paper to leave a raised, textured impression.
Yes.
I mean, the embosser feels incredibly official. It feels like you are sealing a royal decree.
It does. And for hundreds of years, it was the ultimate security feature because it was difficult to forge. But just because an embosser is legally permitted does not mean it is functionally viable in an AI-driven 2026.
Because modern property recording offices and AI document review platforms like SnapDocs or Identify, they do not look at physical paper.
No, they don't. They look at digital scans.
So let's break down the physics of why that is a problem. If I take a piece of paper with an embossed seal and feed it into a high-speed digital scanner, what actually happens inside the machine?
It comes down to light and contrast. An embosser does not use ink. It relies entirely on the tiny shadows created by the raised ridges of the paper to be legible to the human eye.
Right, you need light hitting it at an angle to read it.
Exactly. But a flatbed scanner blasts the paper with an intensely bright uniform bar of light to capture the image.
And that intense light entirely washes out the subtle shadows of the raised paper.
It completely flattens the topography. The resulting digital PDF shows absolutely nothing. The raised impression vanishes into blank white pixels.
It is exactly like taking a photograph of a three-dimensional topographic map from directly above with a massive flash.
That's exactly it.
You lose all the depth and it just looks like a blank sheet of paper.
So the AI engine reads the digital file, scans the area where a seal should be, finds empty space, and immediately rejects the document as unsealed and legally incomplete.
Which is why a high-quality self-inking rubber stamp, specifically utilizing black ink, which provides the maximum possible contrast for optical sensors, is the absolute non-negotiable gold standard for surviving modern automated workflows.
Black ink is your best friend here.
But even with a premium black ink stamp, human error happens. You might press down too hard and the ink bleeds into a giant smudge.
Or the internal ink pad might be running dry, leaving a faint, broken impression.
Or, in a moment of sheer distraction, you might stamp the entire thing completely upside down.
It happens more than you'd think.
So when that physical error occurs on a critical document, what is the exact legal protocol?
The protocol begins with what you must never do.
Okay, what's that?
You must never, under any circumstances, use whiteout, correction fluid, or correction tape on a notarial certificate.
Really? Why is whiteout so universally forbidden? If I make a mistake, isn't it cleaner to just white it out and stamp perfectly over it?
From an aesthetic standpoint, yes, it looks cleaner. But from a legal and evidentiary standpoint, it is toxic.
Toxic.
A notarized document is a piece of evidence. The moment chemical correction fluid is applied to that evidence, it introduces the legal presumption of tampering.
Ah, I see. A judge, a county clerk, or an AI engine cannot know if you whited out a simple smudge or if you whited out a different signer's name to commit fraud.
Exactly. The California Secretary of State, the Massachusetts Executive Order, and virtually every recording authority in the nation will instantly reject a document the moment they detect correction fluid.
So if whiteout is illegal, how do I actually fix a smudged illegible stamp?
The National Notary Association provides crystal clear guidance for this exact scenario. If your seal impression is smudged, faint, or unreadable, you simply affix a second perfect seal impression as close to the first one as possible.
I just stamp it again right next to the bad one.
Yes.
Do I need to cross out the bad one or initial it to prove it was an accident?
Generally, no. You must ensure that the second stamp does not overlap the first one, and critically, it must not cover or obscure any printed text or signatures on the document itself. The mere presence of a clear secondary stamp residing next to a defective one is universally understood in the legal and recording community as a legitimate correction.
Unless a specific lender has an internal policy demanding you draw a line through the bad stamp, you simply leave the smudge alone and place a clean mark next to it.
Exactly. Just leave it and stamp again.
But what happens if the document is incredibly dense? What if there's absolutely no physical room on the page to fit a second 2-inch rubber stamp without stamping over the borrower's signature or the legal text?
If there is no real estate left on the page, you cannot force it. Stamping over text invalidates the document.
So what do you do?
In that scenario, you must utilize a loose certificate.
A loose certificate.
Yes. You take a separate blank piece of paper containing the exact same notarial wording, an acknowledgement or a jurat, fill it out completely, sign it, apply your perfect seal to that new page, and physically staple it to the original document.
And then you typically write a note on the original defective page indicating "See attached certificate," right?
Yes, that is the best practice.
Now, the source text from the NNA also mentioned a preventative tip that I want to explore. They suggest doing a practice run with your stamp.
Yes.
Basically making a sample impression on a piece of scrap paper to check the ink density and spring pressure before you commit to stamping the actual legal document.
It's a good idea.
While that sounds like a smart way to avoid smudges, isn't leaving scrap paper covered in my official legally binding seal incredibly dangerous?
It is a massive security risk.
Okay.
And you are right to flag it. It is an excellent mechanical practice, especially if your stamp has been sitting in a freezing car overnight and the ink might be stiff.
Or if you haven't used it in weeks.
Right. But that piece of scrap paper now bears your official state seal. If a bad actor gets their hands on it, they could potentially cut it out, photocopy it, or use it to forge an authorization on a fraudulent document.
So what is the protocol for the practice sheet?
The NNA mandates immediate destruction.
Just destroy it right there.
The moment you are satisfied with the ink levels, you must destroy that practice impression. You cannot just toss an intact seal into the client's kitchen wastebasket where anyone could pull it out.
Right. You must cross it out, shred it, or tear it into tiny pieces.
Your seal is the equivalent of your professional fingerprint. You cannot leave it lying around unguarded.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have dissected the AI engines, we have analyzed the most common cognitive mistakes, and we have established the physical mechanics of the perfect stamp.
We've covered a lot.
But how does this all synthesize into a daily routine? How does a professional notary signing agent actually structure their workflow from the moment they get an assignment to the moment they leave the table to guarantee they are delivering these zero-error packages?
Well, to map out that operational workflow, we look at the insights from NNA Notary Ambassador Marcy Tiberio.
Marcy Tiberio.
Her philosophy is that delivering a flawless package in an AI-driven ecosystem doesn't start at the table. It starts with your infrastructure.
Your infrastructure, like your equipment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to survive and thrive in a zero-error environment, you have to invest in the specific technological stack required to support it.
Okay, let's talk about the hardware. Tiberio says a dual-tray laser printer is an absolute non-negotiable requirement.
Non-negotiable.
Why is a single-tray printer so dangerous for closing packages?
It comes down to the physical dimensions of the documents. A standard mortgage loan package is a chaotic mix of standard letter-size paper, which is 8.5 by 11 inches.
And legal-size paper, which is 8.5 by 14 inches.
Right. Real estate deeds, deeds of trust, and mortgages are almost exclusively printed on legal paper.
But if I only have a single tray loaded with letter-size paper and I hit print on a 150-page PDF, my printer software will usually just shrink the 14-inch legal pages down to fit onto the 11-inch letter paper.
It will.
It gets the ink on the page, so what is the problem?
Well, the problem is all about the margin.
The margins, like the blank space on the edge of the paper.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, county recording offices, they operate on these incredibly strict formatting rules.
Right, they need that space for their own stamps.
Yeah. Many counties require a precise, unblemished 1-inch or sometimes 2-inch margin right at the very top of the deed to affix their physical or digital recording stamp and barcode.
So when your printer digitally shrinks a 14-inch document down to 11 inches, it forcefully compresses the entire layout. That mandatory 1-inch top margin shrinks down to 3/4 of an inch.
Exactly. And when the title company attempts to record that shrunk document, the county clerk's template overlays the file, detects that the margin is out of compliance.
And instantly rejects the entire multi-$100,000 transaction.
Just because of a 1/4 inch of margin space, it causes a recording failure that can take weeks to untangle.
But a dual-tray laser printer eliminates this risk entirely.
It does. It holds letter paper in tray 1 and legal paper in tray 2. The printer's firmware reads the PDF metadata and mechanically pulls the exact correct size paper for every single page in the stack. The margins are preserved perfectly.
Okay, the second piece of essential hardware Tiberio emphasizes is a high-speed, portable scanner paired with a reliable mobile internet hotspot.
Yes.
Why does the scanner need to be portable? Why can't I just take the documents back to my home office and use my desktop scanner?
Because of the timeline demands of point-of-signing QC. As we discussed earlier, lenders are no longer willing to wait. They want the AI to review the package while the ink is still wet.
They don't want you driving home, hitting traffic, feeding your dog, and then uploading the scans 4 hours after the appointment ended.
Exactly. They want immediate scan backs directly from the borrower's dining room table.
So the ideal workflow is you finish the signing, you pull a mobile scanner out of your bag, you scan the 150 pages right there, and your hotspot pushes the file directly to the SnapDocs or Arial server.
Yes. The AI engine runs its 2-minute review while you are packing up your briefcase.
And by the time you reach the front door, your phone pings.
Right. The AI either says, file is 100% verified, you are clear to leave, or it says, hold on, you missed a critical initial on page 42.
So you unpack page 42, have the borrower initial it, rescan, and the defect is cured before you even start your car.
That is the power of it.
But Tiberio also warns about over-relying on the technology.
She does. Just because the AI is there to catch your fall doesn't mean you should jump with your eyes closed.
She emphasizes the critical importance of a consistent manual final review method before you even initiate that digital scan.
Technology is a safety net, not a substitute for professional diligence. You must have a structured, unvarying process that you execute at the end of every single signing, without exception.
I look at this tableside review exactly like a commercial airline pilot's pre-flight checklist.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. It doesn't matter if the pilot has flown a 737 1,000 times. It doesn't matter if the plane has an advanced computer system. Before they push back from the gate, they pull out a physical laminated piece of paper and manually check the flaps, the fuel sensors, and the hydraulic pressure.
Exactly. They do not skip steps based on confidence or memory because human memory fails under pressure.
So your final review checklist must be identical, methodical, and immune to distraction. First, you flip through and check every single notarization block.
Are the venues corrected to your current location? Are the dates accurate to today?
Did you sign your exact commission name? Did you apply the stamp? And is the impression entirely legible?
Second, you scan the document for the borrower's actions. Are all required signatures and initials present?
Did they miss any obscure signature lines tucked away at the bottom of a writer?
Third, you verify the IDs one last time. Does the name on the driver's license perfectly align with the name printed on the documents, according to the specific parameters set by the title company?
And finally, if you had to attach any loose certificates because of a lack of space, Are they securely stapled to the correct underlying document?
Tiberio also makes a crucial point about following directions. In this industry, logic does not always dictate policy.
What do you mean by that?
Well, lenders have highly specific and often wildly contradictory demands.
Oh, right, like the ink color.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One lender might explicitly demand that you use blue ink for all signatures because blue ink proves to their manual reviewers that the document is an original and not a black and white photocopy.
But the very next day, you might work for a lender who absolutely forbids blue ink.
Right. They might demand strictly black ink because their specific optical character recognition scanners are calibrated only for high contrast black, and blue ink essentially drops out and becomes invisible to their machines.
The golden rule of the zero-error package is never assume, never rely on past habits.
You cannot think, well, the last 3 title companies wanted 2 forms of ID, so I'll ask for 2 forms today.
You must read the specific assignment instructions for that specific file on that specific day.
Fortunately, the ecosystem is adapting to help manage this complexity. We are seeing platforms like Signing OS that act as a digital co-pilot.
They analyze the specific lender instructions before you arrive, load them into your tablet, and help guide the flow of the appointment.
It is genuinely incredible how the technology is elevating the baseline standard of the entire profession.
It is forcing a level of rigor that was previously impossible to enforce. But, theory, best practices, and perfect hardware setups are great in the abstract. Reality out in the field is always messy.
Very messy. People make weird decisions, state laws conflict, and weird edge cases arise constantly.
To truly master this material, we need to test our understanding against real-world chaos.
And that brings us to one of my favorite exercises. We're going to examine real, documented scenarios submitted directly to the National Notary Association hotline by notaries who found themselves trapped in legally complex, tricky situations.
We need to dissect how the rules apply when the pressure is on. So, welcome to the segment we call Good Question, What Would You Do?
I'm ready.
I am going to read the scenario, and I will channel the natural frustration of the notary involved. You give us the expert legal breakdown based on the NNA's guidance.
Sounds good.
Let's start with scenario 1. We have Eva in Colorado. Here is the setup. Eva purchased a truck from a private seller in Colorado. The seller properly signed the vehicle title over to her. A notary was present, properly acknowledged the seller's signature, and signed the back of the title.
Okay, so far so good.
However, the notary simply forgot to reach into their bag and apply their official rubber stamp.
Oh, no!
Yeah. So Eva takes this title to the Colorado DMV to register her truck, and the DMV flat out rejects the transfer because the notary seal is missing. So the question is, what do you do?
The short, absolute answer is no. You cannot fix this by simply stamping it later.
Wait, really?
You cannot just slap a seal on the paper after the fact. A notarization without a seal is legally incomplete. The core definition of a notarial act requires the simultaneous chronological presence of 4 things.
Which are?
The physical presence of the signer, the completion of the certificate wording, the notary signature, and the application of the official seal, all at the same time.
Let me stop you there, because if I am Eva in Colorado, I am furious.
Oh, understandably.
The seller signed it, the
Yeah.
notary verified the ID and signed it. We all know what happened. It was a simple clerical oversight, a forgotten piece of rubber. Why is the DMV being so rigidly difficult? Can't the notary just drive to the DMV and stamp it right in front of the clerk?
Because the DMV, much like the AI review engines we have been discussing, operates on strict statutory compliance, not human intent.
They don't care what you meant to do.
Exactly. They are presented with a document that fundamentally lacks the legal authentication required by Colorado state statute. The NNA explicitly advises that a notary cannot simply affix a seal to a document without performing a complete new notarization.
So what is the actual cure?
Eva must contact the DMV for their specific cure instructions. In all likelihood, the original transaction is dead.
Dead.
Yes. The seller and the notary will have to physically meet again. They may have to execute a completely new duplicate title or a specific affidavit of correction provided by the state. And the notary must perform a completely new, flawless notarial act from start to finish.
That is a brutal lesson in why the tableside final review is so critical. A simple missing stamp just cost everyone days of delay, immense frustration, and potentially new state transaction fees.
It happens all the time.
Okay, let's move to scenario 2. This involves Caleb in California. Caleb was dealing with a poorly printed document and had to fill out a certificate of illegibility.
Okay.
When Caleb got to a specific blank line on the certificate that asked for the notary's seal manufacturer ID number, Caleb simply wrote NA for not applicable.
I see where this is going.
However, another party noticed that the manufacturer ID number was, in fact, visibly printed right there on the border of Caleb's physical stamp. What do you do?
This scenario perfectly illustrates why a notary must possess an intimate knowledge of their specific state's governing laws. California Government Code is incredibly specific about the physical attributes of a notary seal.
It explicitly requires 7 distinct mandatory elements to be present on the seal, right?
Yes, and one of those 7 elements is the alphanumeric seal manufacturer identification number.
By writing NA, certifying that the information is not applicable or doesn't exist, when the number actually does exist and is legally mandated to exist, the notary has created a material falsehood on the legal certificate.
Exactly. The notary has essentially provided false information on a sworn document. This is a material error that could easily and rightfully cause a receiving agency or a county recorder to reject the document.
Because it's inaccurate.
The notary's duty is to accurately transcribe all required information from their commission and seal. And if we look at this through the lens of technology, an AI system scanning that document is pre-programmed with California's rules.
It expects to find a specific alphanumeric string corresponding to a registered manufacturer ID. If it reads the string NA, it immediately flags the file for compliance failure.
It certainly does.
Okay, scenario 3 takes us to New York with a notary named Skylar. Now, New York is somewhat unique in the notarial landscape because state law doesn't strictly require a notary to use a physical inked seal.
That's right. A signature and the printed commission information are generally considered sufficient for a valid notarial act in New York.
However, Skylar decided to buy and use a rubber stamp seal anyway, presumably just to make the documents look more official and professional.
Many do.
But when she stamped a document, the ink smeared badly, leaving a massive illegible blob over the text. Since the seal wasn't legally required by the state in the first place, does she even need to fix the smudge? What do you do?
Yes, she absolutely must fix it.
Really? Even if it's not required?
The NNA's guidance on this is highly definitive. It doesn't matter if the state law required the seal or not. Once you, as the commissioned officer, make the active choice to place a physical seal onto a document, that seal becomes an integral part of the official legal record.
So you can't just wave it away and say, well, the law doesn't require it, so just ignore that giant ink blob.
Correct. If that seal is illegible, a receiving agency, a county clerk, or a digital scanning system has every right to reject the document.
Why?
Because they are looking at a document with an intentional official mark that they cannot decipher. The presence of the illegible ink blob calls the fundamental integrity of the entire document into question.
Because they cannot know if that smudge is a notary seal or if it is someone trying to obscure critical text underneath it.
Exactly. So Skylar has to treat this optional seal exactly as if it were a mandatory one.
She must either apply a clean secondary impression directly next to the smudge, or she must attach a completely new loose certificate. You must resolve the visual ambiguity with a clear, perfect impression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Consistency and clarity are the only shields against rejection.
All right, let's tackle our final scenario. Scenario 4. Doris in Florida. Doris was notarizing a power of attorney and took it to a local bank. The notary had properly signed and perfectly stamped the acknowledgement sheet.
Okay. Sounds good so far.
However, the bank teller refused to accept the power of attorney. They rejected it specifically because the notary stamp was not placed exactly beside the principal's signature. It was on the page, but not in the specific spot the bank wanted it. What do? Is the bank legally allowed to reject a valid notarization over geometric placement?
This scenario highlights the incredibly frustrating intersection where state law collides with corporate risk management policy.
Corporate policy.
If we look strictly at Florida law, the statute absolutely requires the use of a seal. However, the statute does not strictly dictate the exact geographic coordinates of where that seal must be placed on the page.
The general legal consensus is simply that the seal should be placed near the notary's signature, and it absolutely must not obscure any printed text or signatures.
Right. So, from a strictly legal standpoint, the notary did not break Florida law. The notarization is legally valid.
Legally, yes, the notarization is valid.
What is happening here is that the bank is enforcing an internal institutional overlay rule. Massive banks and national lenders operate their own highly specific risk management policies.
Which are often dictated by the limitations of their own proprietary internal scanning software.
Exactly. If the bank's internal software is programmed to only look for a seal within a tiny invisible 2-inch box directly to the right of the signature.
And the stamp is placed an inch below that box, the software tells the teller the document is invalid.
Exactly. The bank is elevating its software limitations above state law.
It is maddening for the customer, and it is infuriating for the notary.
It really is. But it perfectly illuminates why the entire industry is so desperately moving toward massive, standardized AI QC platforms like SnapDocs and True AI.
The industry is trying to create universal, intelligent standards that understand context so that a perfectly valid legal notarization isn't rejected just because a bank teller's outdated software doesn't like the geometric coordinates of the stamp.
Exactly.
You know, if we step back and look at all of these scenarios, the rejected truck title, the California ID number, the New York smudge, the Florida bank rejection, your frustration as the role-play notary in these situations is entirely justified.
It definitely feels like we are operating in a system where the rules are rigidly unforgiving over microscopic technical minutiae.
A single missing stamp, a missing initial, a smudge. Why does this system have to be so brutally rigid?
It is rigid because of the immense, enduring legal weight of what we are doing at that table. A notarized document isn't just a receipt or a piece of correspondence.
Right. It is a self-contained, finalized piece of evidence that permanently alters the legal rights, property ownership, and financial liabilities of human beings.
Exactly. It has to be completely flawless so that it can stand up in a court of law completely on its own merits, 10, 20, or 50 years from now.
When a judge looks at a deed of trust in the year 2046, they won't have the luxury of calling the notary to the stand to ask what they meant to do.
The paper must speak for itself, perfectly and unambiguously. And as we transition into this new era where artificial intelligence is performing the primary instantaneous reading of these documents, that demand for perfection is no longer just a lofty legal ideal.
It is an immediate, hard-coded operational requirement for the industry to function.
Yes.
That is an incredibly powerful perspective, and it leads us to a fascinating, almost existential thought to leave you with today. We have spent an hour deeply analyzing the pursuit of the perfect physical ink stamp, the chemistry of the ink, the mechanics of the embosser, and the sophisticated AI computer vision engines built to read them. But if we follow the trajectory of this technology to its logical conclusion, you really have to wonder if the physical rubber stamp itself is living on borrowed time.
It is a profound, paradigm-shifting question. We're already seeing the foundation being laid for its obsolescence.
With things like remote online notarizations.
Yes, platforms like Proof, which many of you knew as Notarize, are currently executing millions of remote online notarizations. And in those environments, they aren't using physical rubber stamps that can run out of ink or smudge.
They are issuing AATL-compliant digital certificates.
Exactly. These are complex cryptographic signatures that are mathematically bound to the digital file itself.
Think about the implications of that. You cannot smudge a cryptographic hash. You cannot accidentally apply a digital certificate upside down.
You cannot forget to pack it in your briefcase.
Every digital seal contains exact, flawless, unalterable data that is permanently embedded into the metadata of the file. As these AI systems push the entire lending industry toward an insatiable demand for perfect, real-time quality control, it seems almost inevitable that the physical stamp will disappear entirely.
It forces us to ask an even deeper question about the future.
What's that?
If a machine can instantly verify a signer's identity through blockchain credentials, iris scans, and biometric pulse monitoring through a smartphone camera, and if the digital document is sealed with an unbreakable cryptographic token, what is the ultimate legal role of the human notary 50 years from now?
Will biometric AI eventually eliminate the need for a human witness entirely?
It is a wild thought, but it is the logical endpoint of the zero-error package. The technology to do this already exists. It is merely waiting on legislative adoption and industry standardization.
It is something every professional in this space needs to seriously ponder as they evaluate the future viability of their own businesses.
Definitely.
That is definitely something to chew on. And we want to hear your thoughts on this biometric digital future or any questions you might have regarding the AI systems and workflows we discussed today. Email your questions to Derek at dereksproul.com. We will try to answer as soon as possible at the end of our shows.
It has been a deeply fascinating exploration today. Thank you for joining us.
I would like to thank our entire team. Executive producer Derek Sproul, lead writer Marylyn Trotter, graphics Eddie Montes Travis, music Thomas Bynum, produced by Magnificent Works Business Solutions. Don't just be listeners of the knowledge, be doers of the knowledge. This is Notary Knowledge. Until next time.
To obtain more notary knowledge, explore the full collection of books by Derek Sproul and find the perfect book for your notary business. Visit any online bookstore, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble Bookstore, booksofmillion.com, bookshop.org, Mobile Notary by DerekSproul.com, or download from Kindle to obtain your essential notary book to help with all your notarization starting today.